All right, just got up and did a morning study session. Got me thinking about one of the key principles to learning that I wanted to share with you guys. A lot of people out there have this misconception that they're actually learning, but in reality, they haven't learned much since they were young, since they were a child, when their brain was very plastic. And you're going through school and you're getting through all these classes, past these classes, but then you look back and you're like, what did I actually take away from that class a year later? Or you read a book and you look back in six months and you're like, I can't remember anything about that book except for maybe one idea that's based on what the book's called. So yeah, I spent a lot of time learning about learning, which might sound weird to some of you, but I feel like it's my competitive advantage at this point. I feel really competent in learning and understanding what learning is and knowing how to learn. So I just wanted to give you a simple first principle to get your mind clicking and turning and get those gears engaged and start questioning your beliefs around learning. Because most intuitive beliefs, the most common beliefs, the most common study methods are all incorrect around learning. It's actually counterintuitive. So principle 1, learning is not about consumption. Learning is about creation. So what do I mean by that? What is consumption? What is creation? So when you read a book, you might feel like you're learning. It might feel productive. You probably feel good when you're doing it. And you read, finish a chapter, close the chapter, and then you go on do your next thing, go to work, go to school, go do chores, go eat, whatever. Well, if you do that, you're going to retain absolutely nothing or very little of that chapter. And the very little you do retain will be gone. 2/3 of it will be gone in 2 days, and almost all of it will be gone in a week unless you come back and think about that idea. So if you're reading a book and you find something that really compels you and you're like, wow, well, then you start thinking about that idea, and you think about that idea a few days from now and a few days from then, and that idea then you actually take away, at least for a while. So consumption versus creation. Reading is consumption. Watching videos, watching podcasts, or listening to podcasts, watching documentaries, watching TED Talks, going to class, listening to lectures. These are all forms of consumption. And if you don't pair this consumption with creation, you won't learn anything. So consumption is necessary in most cases, but it is not all-encompassing. You need to pair consumption with creation. So what is creation? Creation is also known as active learning in the learning community. So forms of active learning: thinking, taking ideas you read from a book and going, what did I learn? And trying to decipher what you learned. And even if it's not correct, you're still creating. And that discomfort it takes to think about, oh, what did I learn? It's uncomfortable. It's much more comfortable just to keep reading. That discomfort is the stimulus for growth. And given time, given recovery, given sleep, that will lead to new neural connections. And once you've got the new neural connections, you can go in and refine them and strengthen them. But you really need to get those connections built. So you need to create, and creation is uncomfortable a lot of the times. So thinking, writing, communicating, talking with other people, debating, discoursing, these are all forms of creation. And there's also more forms of creation than that, but I think I'm just trying to give you the general understanding. Consumption versus creation. Consumption's not enough, yet it's what most people do. So, creating is really about using your brain to process information. So, on the topic of note-taking, what is the worst form of note-taking? Transcription. Because you're getting information you're consuming and you're spitting it back out and regurgitating with almost no processing whatsoever. Very, very minimum. So it's almost like you're not creating at all. Whereas if you know how to take notes and you're good at note taking, it can be a great form of creation. So yeah, I just wanted to give you guys that's from everything I've learned from learning, that is a key principle that most people are unaware of and most people get wrong. So how do you take this and apply this principle? Well, let's start with reading. So if you really want to learn what you read, the best practice is called active recall. So you read, depends on the density of the book, but for an arbitrary example, you say you read 2 pages, and then after you read that second page, you look away from your book and you ask yourself, what did I learn? And you pull out everything you can remember from those 2 pages. And doing so has been shown in empirical studies to improve not only retention rates, but also conceptual understanding. So remembering and understanding, two components of learning. You learn more than if you would reread that text, those 2 pages, 4 times. So you read it once and you active recall, what did I learn? Pull out everything you can, and you are gaining more knowledge than you would if you sat there and read those 2 pages 4 times. So there's an example of how you can apply that. You can do the same with videos. Watch 5 minutes of a video, pause it, look away, active recall, what did I learn? Pull out everything you can learn. And you're gonna realize, like, if you try some of these techniques, they're actually very uncomfortable. It's much easier just to watch a video straight through and say, completed that, feel good about yourself. But in reality, you completed the task, but you didn't learn anything, or you learned very little. So, and when you're reviewing, another application is when you're reviewing, say you're studying for an exam, the worst way to study is to go reread the text or reread your notes. Those are very, very passive and involve almost no creation. If you're going to reread the text, if you're going to reread your notes, you're going to want to do active recall or some form of creation following that consumption. And creation, when you're reviewing notes, is you can go in. If you really want to review your notes, I think it's a waste of time to reread them, but you can reread them, and you can then, out of memory, go and reorganize on a different page, or write out everything you can remember and try to categorize those things and make it more cohesive, make it more organized. So, for example, what I've been doing for learning that involves creation. So I'll spend some time consuming, and I'll be using active recall during that session. And then the next time I go into study session, the first thing I'll do is I'll pull out everything I can from memory about what I learned in the last session. And then I'll go back and look through the notes from the last session, and usually I've missed a lot, and I'll just try to read one word of bullet points and try to pull out the rest. So it's still more creation than just rereading. And then I'll try to go over one more time everything, things I got right and things I missed, get it all conceptualized. And then I'll leave it for a bit. And once I complete, say, a unit of whatever I'm learning, I'll start spending a Pomodoro, which is a 25-minute session, 1 or 2 of those per day, without looking at anything, anything, no notes, no text, and I sit there and write everything I can remember, everything I learned from that unit, and write and write and write, and space it out over days. And when I finally get to a point where I can't pull out anything else, I'll go back and check how much I got, what I missed, and reevaluate what I need to do to get the full picture. If I'm trying to get 100%, trying to get all the information into long-term memory. But yeah, I don't want to get into too many different ideas around learning. I'll probably create a series of videos, but just to keep it simple today, consumption and creation are separate. Creation is much more important, yet most people disproportionately spend their time consuming. So, hope this was helpful. Hope this stimulated you in some way, got you thinking about something new. Maybe you're questioning your beliefs. Maybe you got something you want to try out or apply. Yeah, hopefully this was helpful. Talk to you guys later.